Good morning, everybody. And the sun's shining-ish. But the sunshine is here. The sunshine is here on our business spotlight interview because today we've got Rebecca from Dakota Digital. Rebecca, tell us all about your business.
Hello. So Dakota Digital, we're a PR and copywriting agency. We're based in Mansfield. We've been here for 13 years on the 1st of July. Yeah, so birthday coming up. Um, so we're a digital PR and copywriting agency. So we help our clients with lots of different content needs. Whether they have an event coming up and they'd like to get the word out, maybe it's a new product launch, we can help them create a press release that talks about that news, create a list of journalists that might be interested in that news, and media outlets in any country worldwide, not just the UK, and help them get that news out to people who might be interested in covering it. We also help with producing social media content. So that's quite a big deal for clients. It can be quite time consuming. And what we find is sometimes it does slip to the wayside a little bit. So we can come in and help keep that consistent. We also produce blog content, web content, sales letters, product descriptions, packaging copy, anything written essentially, to help with Google visibility, to help with local search, to help with generating media coverage, basically to raise a business's profile in a way that suits them.
That's really interesting. And one of the things is a lot of small companies, I say small companies, but small, medium-sized companies think, oh, PR, whatever, it's not for us. We can't afford it. And it's only the big guys like Tesco's who use PR agencies. That's not true, is it?
Not at all. So every business can benefit from PR. We're quite unique in that we productize our services. So we do very often have small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs come to us, and they know that they want to do something because they want to raise their profile, but they've gone to traditional PR agencies and they might have been quoted, £4,000 a month, £5,000 a month, and that's just out of their budget. But we're unique in that we've productized our services. So you can come along and buy a single press release with distribution for £150, which is quite reasonable. Or we can create a small business package where we will help generate ideas for press releases. We will produce that content and we will send it out. So you can kind of tap into our expertise, but at a small volume per month if that's more achievable. But we work with such a wide range of companies, everybody from a company that sells light bulbs, somebody that runs a hotel, food businesses, IT businesses, cleaning businesses. There's really no type of client that I could think of that wouldn't benefit from having some PR regularly, having some optimized content go on their site, reaching out to their prospects list via email every so often to generate those conversions. So it definitely is for small businesses as well.
That's really interesting. And you mentioned you've got a business anniversary coming up, 13 years in business.
Yes.
Over those 13 years, what have you seen change? What's the biggest change?
Um, I guess the awareness of the importance of content and PR. As Google search has become more important to consumers, as people have got more comfortable going online to research local businesses, to research products and services that they might need for their business. Um, Likewise, as those businesses themselves have become aware of, actually this is a way to reach our target audience, this is a way that we can become more easily found, that we can generate leads, that we can close leads. So whereas when I started, I mean, social media was very much in its infancy. I worked at an agency in Spain before I set up on my own, and I set up the department by myself. So it was just me sitting in a room in Spain by myself. And X had just launched, for example. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody kind of considered social media as something that could benefit a business. It was more something that was social. It was for your friends and family and keeping up with what people you went to school with were doing. And that's completely changed now. I think most businesses today, they understand that the importance of Google. They understand that people will discover their business online, that they will look for reviews about their business online, they will look for news about their business online. So I think that has been the most notable change, because that obviously makes my life a little bit easier, because people already understand it's something they need. Whether they can afford it is a different matter, but they understand that they need it.
That's really interesting. One of the, I personally believe, one of the massive under, how do you actually describe it? People don't understand how important copy is and how to get the message off. So basically, you see so many websites and they go, well, we do this and we do that and we do whatever, and we
Yeah.
call it we marketing. It's really important having great copywriting to get your USPs, your guarantees over, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think obviously in the last 6 to 12 months, AI has become a big thing, and a lot of companies have tried to take that as the easy route maybe, and just think, oh, well, we need some copy, we'll just give AI a brief and that will produce something for us and we'll stick that on the website, which it will write that content for you. But the problem is that is a computer. It's not a human that understands what another human is looking for. It's not thinking about the challenges and the problems that that buyer, that prospect is facing, and the unique way that you can solve that problem and add value to their business or to their life. So creating copy that converts and that kind of sets out that, you know, we understand that you're facing this issue, we understand it's a problem because of this reason, here's how we can help make your life better or make your business more efficient. You need somebody who is a skilled copywriter, because it is a skill, to convey that information in a way that's clear, that's concise, that isn't overly salesy and in your face and kind of, you know, immediately puts you off as a consumer. So definitely there is an art to it as well as a science.
So is that the biggest challenge for you as a business, AI, or the perception of AI?
Um, I think I think sometimes we come a little bit after that. So we've had a number of instances where a business will come to us and they'll say, "Oh, we've tried to get AI to write our web content, but it's rubbish. It's not doing anything for us. We're not getting any conversions. We're not getting any leads. Can you have a go?" Um, or someone will come to us maybe with a press release that they've had ChatGPT write. And my background is in journalism. Um, I will look at it and I will say, you know, that's not the right structure for a press release. You might have some information you can use, but it needs moving around. You need to look at the title again. We need to look at the tone of voice. So there is an educational aspect there as well. But I think for the most part, people are open to that because they want their businesses to succeed. They want their marketing to do well. Otherwise, it is just a waste of time and resources and money. So I think once you're clear about your reasoning behind saying, well, perhaps we need to have another look at this, it's not quite right, a lot of people are receptive to that. It's obviously, it's, I think also but you have to be willing to put that, to give that opinion and to educate a little bit as well, and to give options rather than just saying, oh, that's rubbish, we can't work with it.
No, that's really interesting because it is one of the hot topics, AI at the moment, and it's here to stay, and it's a great tool if you use it right. But as you rightly say, horses for courses is probably the best way to describe it. So, did you always want to have your own business?
Is it fun? For the most part.
No, so apologies. Did you always want to have your own business?
No, actually, I came about it in a very roundabout way. So at uni, I went to Nottingham Trent Uni, and I did Spanish and business. I actually wanted to do media studies because I'd always enjoyed writing, but that wasn't offered the year I went, so I got shuffled along to the business course. I absolutely hated it. And in my second year, I dropped it completely. So I then ended up doing Spanish and Italian. Qualify or anything, to be honest. And then I got a scholarship and a grant to do a master's degree in online journalism, which was very new at that point. As part of that, I had to do a work experience placement. So one of my friends lived in Spain. He'd used a marketing agency in Spain. They were launching an online website, an online magazine. Again, this was kind of one of the very first ones out there. So I went to them to do my work placement for 2 weeks in Marbella. They offered me a job, so I went and worked there when I graduated. Um, and I absolutely loved it. It was, traveling around like southern Spain, working as a journalist, essentially writing articles, doing guides of where to go if you're coming on holiday, going to new shop openings and bar launches. And I did that for about 3 years, and I moved to work at a PPC agency, which was also in Spain. And I did PPC management for about 2 months. Hated it, was rubbish at it, in all honesty. Didn't understand it. So I said, well, I enjoy writing. Why don't we start offering content as well? So we did. So that's when I was like shuffled into my own little room, and I sat there with my laptop all by myself, and I got the clients on board. I wrote the press releases, I found journalist contact details, I set up social media accounts, I did posting. I think like in our first year, just me alone with no investment, we invoiced about 250,000 euros worth just for me. So that was obviously a huge amount of profit for the company. So we took more people on, and it kind of grew into its own department. Eventually, when I moved back to the UK, my boss at the time decided that he was kind of fed up with agency life. He was going to sell it. I was told that there was an agency in Manchester that wanted to buy the business. But because I was the only person that kind of knew how the SEO department worked and kind of what the products were and things, they wanted me to work with them for 12 months and train their staff, at which point I would be out of a job, which didn't really work for me because, one, it was my concept and my baby, and I'd done all the legwork, and I wasn't getting any of the money from the sale of that department, which was essentially what it was. Until I just bought a house, how was I going to pay my mortgage if I was going to be unemployed in 12 months? So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to Manchester. I'm not going to give somebody else all of the knowledge and insight and training that I put in for myself, because I didn't get any training. I didn't get any support. So he said, well, why don't you buy the client list? So I bought the client list that I'd created and set up on my own, because that was my only option, really. So it wasn't a lifelong ambition. It was just more of a necessity.
But you actually set the business up, hadn't you? So basically, you just took the client list and carried on from there, which is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so literally from one day to the next, it went from being one company name to the next morning, I was like, okay, we're now Dakota Digital. The service is exactly the same. You'll continue to deal with me. The product is the same. Your billing amount is the same. You'll get invoiced on the same day each month. Literally nothing changed at all, apart from it was now on my shoulders completely. Because I wasn't getting a salary, I've got to now pay my mortgage off my own back.
And how did you feel about that? That you suddenly had this responsibility, it was yours. You
Yeah.
think you were,
I mean, I was probably about 28 at the time, 29, just, yeah, I got obviously just bought a house. I just moved back to the UK from Spain. So it was a period of big changes, but I think I was quite lucky in that, because it wasn't completely new to me, I wasn't going out having to find clients. I wasn't having to think about what my product or service or USPs were going to be. I'd been doing that for 4 or 5 years. So it was quite an easy transition in that I just went to work the next morning and carried on doing what I'd always done. Um, and because, the clients were already there, they were all happy with the service. The invoices were still coming in, payments were still coming in. It was quite an easy transition in that respect. I think the hard bit was that the business side of things was more of a steep learning curve, because when you're an employee, you don't necessarily see that side of it. Like, okay, I now need to register for VAT. I need to have an invoicing system. I need to have a payment processor. I need to put 30-40% of money that comes in away to pay corporation tax, and if my computer breaks, for example, all of those practical things that eventually they become obvious over time. But if you're moving from working for somebody to working for yourself, the actual the mechanics of running a business, you don't know. You do it wrong before you do it right, because there's nobody stood there to say to you, do this or do this next, or you're not doing that right. You do something and it either works or it doesn't, and you learn very quickly if it doesn't, and you do it differently next time. Um, so I'd say that's kind of the hardest bit in setting up a business. And also it takes a lot of time. You don't realize, like, the admin side and the operational side. I mean, it was just me. We were a small business. I wasn't running Tesco's or something. But it's still very time consuming to have to deal with all of that side of things, as well as keep your clients happy and physically do the work that's bringing in the money. And I didn't, obviously, I knew kind of the hours involved because I was doing that job. But the other side of it, I had no idea how much time that was going to take out of my day.
Yeah, I know it is a huge steep learning curve that, and but 13 years on, which is
Not
absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. So how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
I'm not very good at that, to be honest. I'm getting better. I think when you set up a business, you have to expect you've got to put the hours in. There's no easy way around it. As I said, because I started up on my own, I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have investment. I couldn't afford to hire somebody at the beginning. So I literally had to do everything. So that meant that I was sitting at my desk until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I was working weekends. I was working bank holidays and things. I didn't think I took a day off for 2 years. So for my 30th birthday, I went to New York with my dad. We went for 3 days, and I was like, the stress level sitting on the plane thinking about the number of emails that I was going to have, and I wasn't going to answer them, and it was awful. So probably for at least the first 8, 9 years, my life was just work. It was all work. But eventually, we started to employ people. I had somebody start part-time initially, a university graduate. She'd done journalism at university. Then I had another person come on, and eventually kind of had that support system where there were things that I didn't necessarily have to do myself, and I could claim back a little bit of time. So now, 13 years later, I still work quite late. Our official opening hours are 9 to 5:30. I will never leave my desk before 7:30, normally 8 o'clock. But I don't work weekends anymore. And if I'm not going on holiday, I try and limit it to maybe an hour in the morning and an hour at night, just to keep on top of things, because I find that works for me. Because if you just kind of leave it for a week, when you come back, that first day or 2 days are hellish, and you might as well have not gone on holiday because you've not had any of the benefits. Your stress levels have just immediately spiked again.
Brilliant.
So I think that's kind of a balance that works for me.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks for that great share. Finally, what's the best advice you'd give to an 18-year-old you?
Um, I think learn as much as you can and don't be afraid to get things wrong. I think when you start a business, there's so much pressure to do everything right. But the reality is you don't know anything, and you don't know anything because nobody teaches you those things. There's not a course you can take at school or at uni that actually equips you with the practical knowledge to run a business. You might know how European Parliament functions or the mechanics of economics, but that doesn't help you when you've got to do your VAT return. Um, so you are going to get it wrong, and you can't be afraid of that. You can't go in like being terrified of making a mistake. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to put it right, get back up and carry on. You have to be resilient. You have to take all the advice you can get, be open to constructive criticism, and want to learn, like continue to add your skills, so that you have more to offer than your competitor 2 mile down the road.
Brilliant. Rebecca, on that note, like to say thanks so much. That's so enlightening. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to talk to you.